we want you to do is start prioritizing sleep. And to do that, we have to educate you on what happens during sleep. 50 years ago, scientists, researchers, we weren't studying sleep. Now as sleep has become a huge problem, 6.5 hours on average, we're starting to uncover what happens during sleep. So I'm going to talk to you about the sleep stages. You have 4 stages of sleep, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you go through all 4 stages every 90 to 110 minutes. So what do each of these stages do? Here's what I want you to know. Stage 1 is the initial part of sleep. It's light sleep. It's transition you to stage 2 of sleep. Stage 2 is where we spend most of our time sleeping. It's where memory is formed. And let me pause here for a second. Stage 1, stage 2, these are the only stages you get in when you drink alcohol. I do drink alcohol, but I pick very wisely when, special occasions, out with my friends and family, because I want the benefits of the other 2 stages of sleep. So if you do drink alcohol and you're trying to manage sleep, pick wisely when so that you get more of these stages of sleep on a consistent basis. Stage 3 is a very powerful part of sleep. This is when our hormones come out. This is when the body repairs itself. It's called deep sleep. So if you're struggling with hormonal issues, maybe your testosterone is too low, or your estrogen or estradiol is out of whack, or you don't feel like your body is recovering, you have too much inflammation, your aches and pains and arthritis, you need stage 3 of sleep called deep sleep. Stage 4 is the most important part of sleep. It's called rapid eye movement. And now what we know about rapid eye movement, it's during rapid eye movement that the brain flushes these plaques. And these plaques can lead to dementia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all these breakdown of the neurological system. So we have all 4 of these stages and we go through all these stages every 90 to 110 minutes. But here's what you need to know. If you're only getting 6 hours of sleep, you get very little REM sleep. You're going to get a little bit less deep sleep. And so the body's not going to be performing like you want it to perform. So the sweet spot is 7 to 8 hours of sleep, because during the last 2 hours of an 8-hour period, you're getting the most amount of REM sleep. So what we need to know is the power of sleep. It's not just a period of rest. We're not just laying down and resting. We're actually having some physical, psychological repair and building happening during that period of rest called sleep. I truly believe when we have the why behind something, we prioritize it more. And so now that you know the why behind why we sleep, we're going to start to prioritize it. But you need to know, what do you need to do to improve sleep? There's 2 things we see from sleep issues. Number 1, you can't fall asleep. That's easy. We'll get to that in a second. Number 2, where most people fall, is they can't stay asleep. They fall asleep, they wake up around 2, 3 a.m., they're hot, their mind's racing, and they can't fall back asleep. What that means is your adrenals are too stimulated. And many times you're deficient in this mineral called magnesium. Magnesium is the relaxation mineral. So here's what I want you to do. If you're struggling to stay asleep, you're waking up 2, 3 a.m., I want you to get a foot bath. Fill it up with hot water, and you're going to add a cup of Epsom salts. Epsom salts are pure magnesium. And you're going to soak your feet 20 minutes 2 times a week. You're saying, hey Matt, can I take a real bath? Yep, same benefit. You can take a real bath. But what we found is taking the foot bath is much easier to start. So you're soaking your feet 20 minutes in Epsom salts, allows magnesium to be absorbed so that you can stay asleep. If you struggle to fall asleep, that's a sign that you're overstimulated. Meaning you're either looking at your phone, you're checking emails, you're too engaged, and your mind can't shut down to fall asleep. So here's what we want you to do. Unplug. 30 minutes, 60 minutes before bed, start to calm the body down. Maybe you read a book. Maybe you're just slowly starting to dim the lights, unplug, so that the mind can start to relax. We now know when you look at a blue lit device like your phone or your tablet, it delays falling asleep, your circadian rhythm, by about 90 minutes. So here's a recap. When you start to overstimulate the mind, you're not getting enough magnesium, you have too much stress, you're not eating right, you're not exercising, the body struggles to sleep. So all the areas that we talk about, eating, exercise, white space, these will all help with sleep. But 2 things you can start tomorrow if you struggle to sleep: the Epsom salt foot bath and unplugging 30 to 60 minutes before bed. As we wrap up step 9 of sleep, I'm going to give you the 8 tips to a better night's sleep. Number 1, hands down, you have to prioritize sleep. Once upon a time, midnight used to be the middle of the night. For most of us, it's the average bedtime. So if you go to bed at midnight and you have to wake up at 6, is it possible to get 8 hours of sleep? It's not. So I want you to get 8 hours of sleep. So whatever time you have to wake up, reverse engineer and figure out when you have to go to bed. Try to shoot for 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Tip number 2, you have to establish a circadian rhythm. What does that mean? Having the same bedtime. So if you're going to bed at 10 one night and 1 the next night, your body doesn't know what's going on, especially if you're traveling different time zones. So the challenge is, how do you keep the same bedtime so you establish the circadian rhythm? Step number 2 is you have to get some sunlight. Getting outside, getting that sunlight helps the pineal gland produce melatonin. I'm not a huge fan of taking a melatonin supplement because we can naturally get it from this thing called the sun. And when we get the sunlight, it stimulates the pineal gland, allows us to release melatonin, and that allows us to fall asleep. Step 4 is the environment. So get the temperature in your room to 65 if possible. Now, I've only been married 8 years. I'm not allowed to touch my thermostat. But my point is if you get the temperature down, allows the body to relax. Make sure it's pitch black. Make sure you have your curtains that cover in the light. Make sure the sounds are good. So I like a sound machine to make that environment very conducive to sleep. Step 5 is a caffeine curfew. Now, if you like coffee, I'm not telling you to get off your coffee. What I'm telling you to do is have a caffeine curfew. I like to kind of consider that around noon. So if you're shutting down drinking caffeine around noon, you're going to be able to fall asleep because you're not going to have too much caffeine in your system. Step 6 is breathing. Working on your diaphragmatic breathing, breath awareness. If your mind's racing, you had a busy day, or you have a lot going on, practicing this diaphragmatic belly breathing will allow the body to relax. So the more you practice it, like any other muscle, you'll be trained to relax on demand. So breathing can be very powerful to get you to fall asleep. Step 7 is minerals. I talked about the importance of magnesium. Magnesium is a relaxation mineral. You can absorb magnesium through your feet with Epsom salts. You can consume foods high in magnesium, dates, raisins, figs, chia seeds, cacao nibs. These are all foods high in magnesium. I don't recommend taking a magnesium supplement because it's very synthetic, hard to absorb. So getting more magnesium in your system, it's a very easy nutrient to be deficient in, will allow you to stay asleep. And step 8 is movement. We know when we move our body, we have a better night's sleep. And so trying to prioritize daily movement, whether it's walking, getting outside, an exercise routine, just moving your body allows you to fall asleep and stay asleep much easier. So to summarize, here's what you need to know. Sleep is the most powerful thing that we can do. If we want to improve our health, our performance, our vitality, sleep does so many wonderful things. So if you struggle to fall asleep, if you struggle to stay asleep, I want you to practice some of these tips so that you can have your most restful night of sleep.